Good evening, gentlemen. Tonight we have to talk about week 14 and look ahead to week 15. As you guys know, that this is the second video I've done in the past 4 weeks. I'm sorry for where I've been. And before we talk about what happened last week and before we look ahead to next week, I just wanted to address some things that were said in the group chat today, and go from there. So let's start with that. Today there was a trade between Jake and Dan that happened 3 or 4 minutes before the trade deadline. And as soon as the trade went in, like almost all of our trades, the group chat blew up, which is to be expected because in this league, if something doesn't go your way, then you're going to be angry about it. I totally understand. This year has been a wonky year for us, to say the least. Even dating back to last year, it's been a wonky year. I know myself, come last year when I had last place secured, I kind of checked out and had the group chat on mute. And to be honest with you guys, it was a blissful thing, especially because Jake and Drost in the group chat were going at each other. And it was something that they could have just taken to text between themselves, because there were days where they were just texting each other in the group chat and no one was responding. But this year I paid more attention, and another year of not making the playoffs. Let's talk about what one of our league members said, where he said that he's not having fun, I believe. Frankie, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I believe you said that it was not enjoyable, the league. You don't like where it's gone, between people not setting their lineups, Mike, and people making trades with the thought process, well, I'm not going to be in playoffs, so why does it matter? And you claim that Dan doesn't care about the league. I think that, as the commissioner, I am unbiased towards all of you guys. To say that Dan doesn't care about the league, I think that is totally unjust, and we do not know that he doesn't care about the league. I think Dan cares very much about the league, especially because he's always setting his lineup, and he's always doing the most to make his team better. And just because his team is 6-8 doesn't mean he doesn't care about this league. It just means he's had a couple unlucky bounces. So I just want to put that thought process to rest. With the trade today, I understand where the anger was coming. I personally don't believe it was an unfair trade. DK's been really bad this year. And Darnell Mooney's been really good this year, so giving up Mooney for DK, I feel like Dan won that aspect of the trade. Montgomery has been good this year, and Javonte's been good, so I would say that's even. So if we just look at running back for running back, even, and Mooney over DK, I would say Mooney's been better. So I think, honestly, I honestly think Dan won that trade. And I understand where Jake's coming from, where he says that, with trades you have to take risks. That's totally fine. We all saw Jake's text to Dan, where it was like 5 to 7 texts from Jake and then 1 or 2 responses from Dan. It was a couple minutes before the trade deadline, so Jake was being very persistent. Dan still made the trade, which is fine. But I would stop to say that Dan does care about this league. And honestly, I would say Dan cares more about, or he cares about this league more than others do. I mean, Mike, I understand, like, busy with work, sometimes fantasy's not the first thing on your mind. With me, I was busy with work and personal stuff, so I didn't make my video last week, and the week prior to that, I didn't make my video, but I still set my lineup. So having Thielen in your lineup while you knew he was hurt is no excuse. But do we know if there was collusion between Mike and Borelli? We don't. They're with each other every day, and they could have talked, and we do not know. Now, Borelli is a world-class troll, and I'm sure he would keep this bit going as long as possible to make us believe that he colluded with Mike, but deep down, I don't believe he did. Especially because Borelli's team's not even that good, so the collusion wouldn't have helped that much. I think where this league stands right now is in a very funky spot, because I am your commissioner, and I understand the anger with me not doing the punishment yet, and that's fine. But when I try to state my facts of, punishments aren't always agreed upon, and that's met with a rebuttal, I would just like you guys to all know that this league does not agree on anything. It really doesn't. With the punishment, Mike was our first loser, and we went from a range of punishments, and one of the first ones we came up with, and the one we were going to do, was paintballs. And then Mike went to have a hot pepper, and he fooled us with not having a ghost pepper, with a milder pepper, and then we found out, and so he had to do the punishment the following year. With Zach's punishment, when he lost, the hot sauce wasn't the one that was decided, it's just the one that we ended up doing because Mike was doing a punishment that same night. So if we can all agree on a punishment for me, then I would gladly take it. I know IHOP was suggested, but we talked about it. IHOP closed at 8. People didn't believe me. I put that screenshot into the group message. So we have proof that IHOP is not open 24 hours due to the fact that we are in a pandemic. And I wouldn't have been in there 24 hours like we had stated. With the tattoo punishment, I did make my appointment. My artist had COVID. And then after he had COVID, in October, I called up other tattoo shops and they go, we are booked up till January and February. So I think it's, I'm not on anyone's side and I'm not against anyone. I just think it's a tough thing to judge whether or not someone cares about this league. I mean, draft night, Borelli he drafted 3 tight ends in the first 5 picks. And when called out, he goes, I don't even really care about this league. And I'm just doing a troll. Now, that could have been a troll too if he just was saying that he doesn't care about this league. But I agree that this league is in a funky position. Some may think that I'm not setting the best precedent by not have done a punishment yet, which is fine. I accept your guys' criticism and your critiques. But I will come back with you guys come back at you guys and say all the time we can't decide on what's best for the group. And usually it's whoever texts more in the group that's the last word. And that's all true. With the trade today, I honestly don't think it was that unfair of a trade. I think it was more upsetting that our trade deadline is as far into December as it is. And Jake texted me outside of the group chat and sent a little shrug emoji and said, well, I wasn't the one that said it. And yeah, Jake, you're right. You're not the one that said it. And also, I never tampered with it. It's been this way for the past 4 years. This is our 4th year in the league. This has been our way of the fact that the trade deadline is always this late into the season. And I think today it only got brought up because the fact that a trade between a non-playoff team and a team going to probably make the playoffs made a trade where people think it was lopsided. I'm open to suggestions, guys. I'm a very reasonable person. Fantasy football is not my life. It is something that I enjoy. It is a hobby. It's something that I love. I love you guys. And even though last year and this year have been tough fantasy years, it is something that I enjoy very much doing. And I do enjoy the group chat. And it does suck when there's a lull between February and July in the group chat. But what I will say, if you are unhappy, anyone, with how I am commissioning this league, I would very much like to hear it. If you think that I need to do 2 punishments to regain credibility, then let's decide on 2 punishments. Let's do that. I'm open to suggestions. But I also want you guys to hear that, this league almost didn't happen this year because there were some people, and I'm never going to name names, there were some people that were texting me before the season even started back in May and June and said, I don't know if I want to do it this year. They also were texting me saying that some other members are too much in the group chat and that, the funness is leaving. And I listened to them, and obviously our group is still intact, so I convinced them to stay. All I'm saying is that if you are unhappy with how this league is and the corrupt commissioner that I am, please tell me how to fix it. Because sometimes I don't know how to fix it. If doing 2 punishment helps, I'll do 2 punishments. I'm fine with that. And if you think that you could commission more or better, then I'd be happy to give you the reins or give you co-commissionership, and then we'd have a, 2-party system in the league where things would get passed better and it would run more smoothly. I want fantasy football to be a fun environment for you guys. And I understand that some people, even these past 2 weeks, can look at this league and be like, this hasn't been fun. Whether it be a person who's a best friend with someone else, making it, with Mike and Nick being best friends, and Nick has a good shot of making the playoffs and Mike doesn't start so-and-so, then I can see where frustration comes in the thought of collusion. I can see the frustration of having a late trade happen this late into the season. I can understand the frustration. I understand everyone's frustration. And the trade deadline has always been set. Now, if you guys want an earlier trade deadline, sure, we should have decided that prior to the season. The trade is done and it's over with. With that being said, though, I understand what happened back in week 3 where Jake and I did a trade and it got reversed. And the reason it got reversed was because people looked at it and said, this is ridiculous. I don't want to be in this league anymore. And they threatened to leave. 2 or 3 weeks later, me and Dupe made our trade where I acquired Stefon Diggs and Tyreek Hill. So it's been a weird year where there's gray area and there's spots where some people may think that the league is targeting them to where they can't make a trade. And I'm sorry that you feel that way if you feel like the league is stacked against you, because I don't want it to feel like it's stacked against you. If anything, I want everyone to feel like it's fair. Now, I understand where you may not feel like it's fair and you may feel like you're not having fun anymore. And you may just be like in a league, in 3 or 4 different leagues, and you may just be like, I don't really care about this league anymore. And with all of those things, I want you to talk to me about it. If this is one of your leagues where it's just a throwaway league to you, I would love it if you could express that to me so I could make it more fun and more enjoyable for you, because this league does mean a good deal to me, a great deal, some could say, because you guys are all my friends, and you guys all are very important to me. So if you're not having fun, please express that to me. And fantasy isn't anything personal. It should never get personal. And so if you, and this is talking to anybody, if you are not having fun and you want to leave the league, talk to me. And if I can't convince you to stay, then if you decide to leave, I won't judge you for it. I won't harass you for it. Okay? That should be stated right then and there, because it is not anything that's personal. It's something that we do from September to January, and that is that. But gentlemen, I will say that, like, I understand where the frustrations are coming from, where if you make a trade and then it gets reversed, and then 3 minutes before the trade deadline you make a trade, and everyone's more mad about the trade deadline timing than they are about the actual trade. I understand where frustrations are coming from. And I understand that people are frustrated with me about being a commissioner and not have done the punishment. I understand that. So to fix that, I'm offering up a solution of I will do 2 punishments if we can all decide on them. But you can't be blind and naive to the fact that sometimes this group doesn't decide on everything. And also, sometimes we just don't decide at all. So I just want to hear everyone's thoughts. And if you don't want to put it in the group chat, that's fine. Text me. I'm around my phone and I'm open to suggestions. I want to make this fun for you. And if it's not fun for you, that's fine. Like, fantasy is supposed to be fun and it can move on. And you can have fun in other leagues if you care to leave. I mean, I always preach, like, I want this league to be going in 20 years when we're all in our 40s and doing real life things, and we're families and parts of families, and hopefully we're dads by then. But, like, I'm not going to force anyone to stay, and if it's getting to the point where you don't even care about this league, then that's fine. It's supposed to be competitive. It's supposed to be fun. But I understand where people were coming from in June and in May saying, yo, I'm straight up not having fun and thought about leaving. I'm okay with that. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. It's nothing personal. I still love you guys all the same. I also just realized that, like, you know, fantasy is, I don't know where I was going. All I'm trying to say is fantasy is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something that brings us together. And I just feel like this past year and the year prior, it's been a little wonky, where people will feel targeted with their trades, or people feel targeted in the league, or people feel like I'm not doing a good enough job because I'm not setting a good precedent. And what I will say is, that's fine. Express those concerns to me. Come to me with solutions, though. Don't come to me with a problem and tell me to fix it. Come to me with solutions. If you think, and this goes to anybody, all 9 of you, if you think you could run the league better, by all means, I'll make you the co-commissioner, or I'll step down. That's fine. I just want you guys to know that, you know, sometimes I don't have all the answers, and you can come to me with your concerns of X, Y, and Z. Jake texted me last week when we saw that Mike didn't have Thielen out on to his bench and said something needs to be done. I agree. If you think there's collusion, come to me with what you think needs to be done, and we can bring it to the group. But don't tell me to fix something because I don't have all the answers, and I'm not entirely correct all the time, and that's totally fine. I understand that part, and those limitations that I have as a commissioner is the fact that I'm not always correct, and I'm not always the smartest guy in the group chat. So what I'm saying here, and I know we've gone on 20 minutes without discussing the awards and the previews, but what I'm saying here is, to wrap it all up, if you're not having fun and just look at this league as another thing, then by all means, if you want to go, go. And that's fine. But if you care about this league, care about other people, and care about other people in this league, and you're still not having fun, then come to me with solutions, please, because I don't have all the answers, and I don't want you to feel like your voice isn't being heard. And that goes to anyone. If anyone feels like their voice isn't being heard or they're not being listened to, please come to me, and I would love to listen to you guys. I would love to help you out. And that's what I want to be here for, is a commissioner that is just that. A commissioner that helps all of you guys. It's nothing personal. I don't want you to feel like you're being targeted. I don't want anyone to feel like they're being targeted. It is the fact that I view fantasy as something that can bring us all together, and I feel like just recently, whether it be this year or last year, we have been drifting apart. And I apologize if that's the way I've ran this league, or if that's the way you feel like you're being targeted in this league by others. So I apologize, but come to me with those concerns and I can help us find a solution together. Awards for week 14. Choo Choo Chewin'. Good job, Jake. You are chewing up the competition and spitting it out. The Gerard Express is full steam ahead. Borelli, sometimes shady works. With Borelli, quote unquote, colluding and doing his best troll work. You won, and you're still in the playoff hunt. John, too little, too late. You had a win. I forget who you played this week, but you had a win, and it was very impressive. Drost, hats off to you, Drost. Another good win. And even with an injury-riddled team, it is nice to see you making your playoff push. Dan, impressive to say the least, scoring 170 for a guy that doesn't care about the league. You did well. Congrats to you, Dan. Jones versus me for the upcoming week. It says Jones by 13. My team's abysmal. Jones by 20. Dan versus Frankie. Dan's favored by 4. Frankie needs to win this to remain, I think, as the number 1 seed or the number 2. So I have Frankie winning this by 10. John versus Mike. John favored by 38. Mike's team's abysmal with no Henry and with Thielen out probably again. Then I have John winning this by 25. Jake versus Joss. Jake favored by 13. I have Jake winning this one by 10. And Borelli versus Dupe. Borelli's favored by 22 to keep his playoff pushes alive. I give Borelli the advantage, and Borelli wins by 20. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry that this video is the longest I've ever done, but I want you to know that as your commissioner second and as your friend first, I repeat that, as your friend first, you can come to me with anything that's bothering you, whether it be real life or in this fantasy group chat, and express your concerns to me, and I hope to find a solution together. And like I said, if you guys want to change in power going into next year, please let me know, and we can find a solution for that. Good night. Thanks.